Welcome back to Advocacy Alchemy with Professor Ross. In today's lecture series, we are going to tackle some of the most challenging and thought-provoking issues in law and justice. Today, we're diving into the concept of vigilante justice. That's a topic that blurs the lines between morality, legality, and human emotion. At its core, vigilante justice involves individuals or groups taking the law into their own hands, acting without any legal authority to enforce perceived justice. This phenomenon often arises when people feel that the established legal system is inadequate or is just too slow to address certain issues. Historically, vigilantism has taken many forms. The prime example is the Montana Vigilantes of the 19th century. They were a group that stepped in to combat against rampant crime in areas lacking formal law enforcement. Their actions, though often praised for restoring order, operated outside the bounds of legal authority, raising ethical concerns, legal dilemmas that all still resonate even today as we look back on those times. As we examine these issues, we'll look at how vigilante justice manifests in modern times, consider its representation in the media, and how it's reflect on the broader societal implications. At the heart of this discussion lies a simple question. In a formalized society like ours, is there still a place for vigilante justice? And how do we prevent society from slipping into chaos fueled by random acts of violence? Modern vigilantism and social media. In today's digital age, vigilantism has found a new platform: social media.
You keep pointing that finger at me.
Groups like Dads Against Predators, or DAP, have used online spaces to identify and confront individuals suspected of predatory behavior. They create decoy profiles posing as minors, arrange meetings with these individuals, and then record and upload the confrontations to platforms like YouTube. Now, while their goal is to expose and shame alleged predators, the risks and consequences of these actions are profound. Consider the case of Jay Carnicom, one of DAP's co-founders. In July 2022, Carnicom and his associates confronted a man at a Target store in Winston-Salem.
Yo,
Right.
Dante?
Hell
My
yeah.
man.
Hell yeah, that's Dante.
My man, you want to have a conversation about
They believe this man was seeking to meet an underage person. They initiated a confrontation and they recorded it for social media. The situation quickly turned for the worse. The man drew a gun and he shot Carnicom in the leg.
Watch out. Get up off me.
Carnicom and his team, they were able to disarm the man and they left the scene. In the aftermath, all parties faced legal charges, including simple affray. Remember, we've talked about that before. For Carnicom and his associates, and the man was charged with carrying a concealed handgun. All right, this case underscores the dangers of vigilante actions, both for these people that were engaged in this action and for the public at large. Because look, this incident happened at a local Target. All right, it didn't happen somewhere else. It happened in public. Such incidents often bypass due process and can interfere with law enforcement investigations. Additionally, the potential for violence highlights why a formalized justice system governed by laws and procedures is still essential. All right, this is the reason why I even developed this talk today. I saw this YouTube short. It's about the case of Marianne Bachmeier. One of the most poignant examples of vigilante justice comes from Germany in 1981. Marianne Bachmeier, a grieving mother, took justice into her own hands in a courtroom after her 7-year-old daughter Anne was murdered by Klaus Grabowski. Consumed by grief and anger, she smuggled a gun into the courtroom and shot Grabowski 6 times, killing him instantly. While many sympathized with her loss, her actions sparked debates about the rule of law versus personal retribution. She was convicted of manslaughter and served 3 years in prison. Her story raises critical questions. Does personal grief justify bypassing the legal system? And what are the long-term societal consequences of such actions? Into a new segment. This is going to be a new thing for me, and you all tell me if you like it or not. All right, with that, number 4, vigilantism in popular culture. Batman. In popular culture, vigilante justice is perhaps best embodied by Batman. Operating outside the law, Batman uses his resources and moral code to combat crime in Gotham City. The Dark Knight trilogy, directed by Christopher Nolan, explores the ethical dilemmas of Batman's vigilantism. For instance, in The Dark Knight, Batman's interrogation of Joker
Never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy.
You can't feel the neck.
See? I'm just ahead of the curve.
demonstrates how extrajudicial methods can lead to moral conflicts. The scene forces us to consider whether his actions, while aimed at protecting society, undermine the very principles of justice and accountability. This portrayal highlights the allure of vigilante justice while cautioning against its dangers. It serves as a reminder that even heroes must operate within the boundaries of the law to maintain societal order. The importance of upholding legal justice. The examples we've discussed, from Dads Against Predators to Marianne Bachmeier and Batman, these all highlight the dangers and ethical dilemmas of vigilante justice. While the desire for swift, personal justice is understandable, especially when the system seems slow or ineffective, the consequences of bypassing the rule of law are oftentimes severe. In a formalized society, justice is not random or chaotic. It operates through established systems designed to ensure fairness, due process, and accountability. Vigilantism, however well-intended, risks undermining these principles and escalating violence. Looking back at that case of Jay Carnicum, him being shot in his leg during that confrontation is a stark example of how quickly these situations can spiral out of control. He endangered the lives of everyone present in the store. And this very same type of activity destabilizes communities. All right, let's move into the law and talk about those. All right, we're going to talk about the specific laws in North Carolina and Tennessee, focusing on simple affray, concealed weapons, and assault. Understanding these statutes will be crucial in recognizing the legal boundaries and potential consequences of certain actions, okay? The North Carolina laws first, all right? This is where Carnicum was shot in the leg, okay? So this is based on that incident. So the first statute is dealing with a simple affray, all right? Here's the definition here. I'm not going to read all of it, but the key points are: an affray is engaging in a public fight that causes terror to others. This is a Class 2 misdemeanor. It carries penalties of up to 60 days in jail, a fine of up to $1,000 depending on your prior convictions. Carrying a concealed weapon. This also happened in North Carolina. All right. The definition is willfully and intentionally carrying a concealed deadly weapon, such as a Bowie knife, a dirk, a dagger, or a stun gun, except on one's own premises. All right. This is also a Class 2 misdemeanor usually. It carries penalties up to 60 days in jail, a fine of up to $1,000, depending on your prior convictions. All right, let's move into the Tennessee law. All right, for assault. Now, assault is broken up into assault and aggravated assault. Assault is defined as intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly causing bodily injury to another, causing another to reasonably fear imminent bodily injury, or causing physical contact regarded as extremely offensive or provocative. This is also a Class A misdemeanor. It carries up to 11 months and 29 days in jail, a fine of up to $2,500. Now let's move on to aggravated assault. All right, this is an assault that results in serious bodily injury, involves the use or display of a deadly weapon, or includes strangulation or attempted strangulation. This is considered either a Class C or D felony, depending on the circumstances. The Class C felony carries 3 to 15 years in prison, fines of up to $10,000. The Class D, 1 to 3 years. It's important to remember that these laws, they underscore the importance of adhering to the legal standards in order to maintain public safety and order. Violations can lead to significant legal consequences. And those consequences include imprisonment and fines. All right, next we'll delve into the concept of probable cause and how the law and law enforcement determines its presence in various situations. All right, lastly, let's deal with probable cause. Now, once again, probable cause is something we've been dealing with daily. All right, we have six levels that we have outlined. Let's go back over them. Our first level is mere suspicion. Remember, that's probably less than 10% of the evidence is pointing toward an individual committing a crime. All right, that's based on generalities and stereotypes. In Tennessee, people are always assaulting one another. That's a generality. It's not necessarily true. Next, you have reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion is based on an articulable fact. All right, it's more individualized, but it's not as individualized as probable cause. Okay, so reasonable suspicion is what's required for police to stop a person and continue a more thorough investigation. We have set a number to this of about anywhere from 10 to 25% of the evidence points to a person having committed a crime. All right, moving up one more level, we have probable cause. Probable cause is what's required for an arrest warrant to issue or for a search warrant to issue. Okay, it's required under the Fourth Amendment. Probable cause is potentially about 35% of the evidence is pointing toward an individual committing a crime. All right, understand this, it's a little bit higher than reasonable suspicion. It requires a more individualized set of facts pointing to a very specific person doing a crime. All right, moving up one more level, we have preponderance of the evidence. This is 51% of the evidence points to a person having committed a crime. All right, so if we had a balance beam or we had a scale, they would be almost equal, and then one side would go. And that's a side where it's pointing to a person having committed the crime. So 51% is pointing toward guilt. Moving up one more level, we have clear and convincing evidence. That's 75% of the evidence is pointing toward someone committing a crime. It's usually termed as more likely than not that a person has committed a crime. All right. Next, we have the highest burden, beyond a reasonable doubt. That is 90 to 95% of the evidence points to a person having committed a crime. All right. That is the standard that the government has to meet in order to obtain a conviction in the United States. All right. Now here, do the police have probable cause in all of these situations? Look, we talked about the Carnicom case where he was shot in the leg. I believe the police do have probable cause for his arrest for the affray. Remember, that man, or the two men were fighting. There was a man in the purple shirt, a man in the white shirt. They began fighting. All right. Then one pulled out a gun and shot the other. All right.
Watch out. Get up off me.
Everyone was charged with a simple affray, which is a fight between two or more people, all right, in public. Concealed weapon charge went to the man who actually had the gun. Notice he did not receive an additional assault or battery charge based on that shooting. All right, but he was charged with an affray just like everyone else, and he was charged with the additional charge of having a concealed weapon. All right, looking at, I keep showing you this guy with the shoulder pads on. This is a guy out of Memphis, Tennessee. Now he's running around and he's serving people with some type of paperwork, and he's tackling people. All right, people can hire him. He goes and tackles people. All right, understand that this is an assault. Okay, now we learned about both assault and aggravated assault. I don't believe this is aggravated assault. I believe it's just going to be an assault. But you see, it's a misdemeanor every time he does this. Now, having priors can elevate a misdemeanor up to a felony. If you have multiple priors or you seem to keep doing this after being told you can't do this. Now, that's not saying what he's doing. And why I have it here is because that is vigilante justice, okay? Let the police go do that work. Don't take it upon yourself to go do that type of work, because people can be injured and someone can get mad, get up and do something worse than just tackle someone, okay? All right, so that's probable cause. We also had the Marianne Bachmeier case. All right, she was found guilty. She ended up shooting someone in court, okay? So everyone was there to see it. There's no doubt in who did it. And there's also no doubt behind the reason why she did it, okay? So with that, let's move in to our final statements, and then I'll let you go for today. Okay, so in conclusion, vigilante justice is a complex issue that evokes strong emotions, all right? It raises critical questions about law, morality, and society, while individuals like Mr. Carnicum and Marianne Bachmeier acted out of a desire for justice. Their actions also highlight the risk and consequences of taking the law into one's own hands. As we've seen, the formalized justice system, despite its imperfections, it exists to prevent this kind of chaos of random violence and to uphold fairness and accountability. It's only through these systems, not individual acts of retribution, that we can strive for a just society. I want to thank all of you all for paying attention. I look forward to your thoughts and your comments, and I'll see you tomorrow. This is Advocacy Alchemy with Professor Ross. Have a good day.